Welcome, my bows and bow ties, to another episode of the Black Opinionated Woman. I am the Black Opinionated Woman, also known as Belle. So, what I wanted to do, I'm getting right on into it, is I wanted to respond to, I guess, the reaction from my video yesterday. So, I actually really enjoyed the comments. Yesterday, I had time. I had all the way had time, so I was able to read some of the comments, and they were actually enjoyable. So let me just say this. I'm just going to hone in on one thing in particular because I thought it was interesting. There were several people who were commenting on the fact that I said that, can you try not to make that much noise? Don't talk. So I wanted to talk about the people. You could just leave it right there. I wanted to talk about how people were really concerned about the fact that I said that May May doesn't look Asian. So let me bring up my thumbnail. Now, this is the thumb. If you selected this thumbnail, that means you're in the right place because I'm just going to react to a couple of comments. I'm not going to actually post them because I don't like to do that type of thing. So this is the thing. You see this young lady right here? Whether we want to admit it or not, she doesn't really look Asian. She looks more like, I don't even want to say an edge case. We all know what Asians typically look like. And I said typically because there is a phenotype associated, right? Are there Asians who have slightly different features or whatever? Of course there are. I mean, but the last time I checked, most Asians don't have red hair. They don't have red hair. Her eyes are brought in, and I know there are some Asians whose eyes are kind of like brought in, but they typically have that really pretty shape, right? And also the cheekbones. So look, now we're gonna call a thing a thing. Okay, so let me go ahead. Let me put up another. Guys, y'all just do this every single time. I don't understand why you can't just not. Okay, sorry, my kids. You look down the wrong pipe. Okay, you see this? I'd like to put this up for a second. Um, the photo to the right shows me with no makeup, bad filtering. I had my hair braided. It needed to be redone. I look basically a mess, actually. The one to the left, I have on a little bit of makeup and some eyelashes. And let me just say this: if you take a picture take a look at the picture on the left for a second. The one on the left, well, when I grow my hair out, actually, when I grow my hair out and I get my hair professionally done, I typically like to go to a Dominican salon. People think that I am, even though they look at me, they think I might be Dominican. Now, Dominican is not a race. Okay. I understand that. But I put this picture for a reason. I can't find a really good one. I wanted to find one. This was what was already uploaded. That was easy to access. Right. So why did I bring this up for a second? Depending on who I meet. Okay. Now, if I grow my hair out and I get it professionally done and it's flat iron and all that good stuff, people constantly ask me if I'm mixed with something or multiracial, biracial, whatever it is. Now, why do I have this picture up? In my mind, I see the person on the right with the braids and stuff. The way people view me oftentimes is like the person on the left, which I thought was interesting. Now, where am I going with this? I know there were some comments that I need to broaden my horizons and all this other stuff, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information. By the way, I'm wearing a red shirt just in honor of this conversation. Let me just say this. I have spent time in Asia. At the end of my freshman year of college, I was selected to go to China with some PhD students to study intense terahertz lasers. Don't ask me what it is. I couldn't tell you what that abstract was. And when I came back, because I didn't stay there a long period of time, I had a family emergency. I promptly swapped out from physics to engineering. So I spent time in China. I've also have visited Japan. I have also visited Singapore. I was only in Singapore for one day, though. I have friends over there who happen to be Black. And I've visited Thailand. Okay. So when I say these things, let me just say this for the record. Broadening my horizons, it's not like I'm speaking in a vacuum. Okay. I have visited and been all around this world. Well, we're not all around the world, but you understand where I'm going. I have spent time in Asia. I've seen various I would say Asian cultures. Okay. When I say that I've done this, or that when people tell me to broaden my horizons, that's just actually leaving the continent. Then there's the broadening of my horizons here. Now, I live in the United States. I do not live in Toronto, Canada. Okay. So I grew up with Asian friends. I've had interesting conversations in my adult life with my Asian, I would say, friends slash relationships, because some people are more like in a relationship with versus friendships. Where am I going with this? I've actually had some of the hard conversations, even recently. We talk about how Asians and Black people, we just don't get along. There's always a contentious relationship between Asians and Blacks. We talk about why Asians have this thing with Black people and vice versa. I talk about Black people's learned helplessness and a whole bunch of stuff. Now, when I see comments like, you should broaden your horizons, I thought it was interesting. And let me just say for the record, these comments on that video, I loved these comments because they were pointed, some of them were educational. Now, some of it I kind of sort of knew, right? But nevertheless, I just, some of them were meant to be like with a little stinger. I didn't even take it personal, to be honest. I mean, people like to have their opinions, but I thought this was a really good conversation to have about May not looking like an Asian. And the vast majority of people, if they were to do a first glance at that character, whether we want to believe it or not, they would not think Asian. The check on that on this hold on, I should bring up that thumbnail. The chick on that thumbnail had red hair. You might as well just throw a kilt on her. Put some freckles on her. I don't know. So this is the thing. I know people don't want to hear that because oftentimes when I talk to some of my peoples, my friends who are Asian, right? I've had the card conversations where many of them said when they were growing up, they thought they were white. They wanted to be white. It was easier, whether you're first or second generation. Now, granted, I'm in the United States, so take that with a grain of salt. So we've had these conversations and we'll continue to have them. I've had conversations recently with someone who's Cambodian. So when I say that she doesn't really look Asian, do I know that there is a spectrum of Asianness? Hey, so I know I don't like when my kids are rude. So I know there is a spectrum. Okay, just like there's a spectrum of Black. You can see this picture of me. I got to find some more glam pictures. Okay, if I grow my hair out and get this flat iron and all this other, oh, that's what my little curls. I got to do something with this today, and get my hair like flat iron and then, all done up, and people start thinking things, and I'm like, no, Black. There's shades of Black. There's various versions of Asian. So I say this because look, I've been wrong before. I'm gonna be wrong again. What I do know is that, let me pull this back up because I said what I said. People are gonna be mad. I crack myself up. I'm allowed to crack myself up. You see that? Let's go right back to this. The fact of the matter is, my first thought when I saw this character was she did not look Asian. She didn't. Now, if you stared long enough, you can say, well, I guess. But if you're trying to highlight Chinese culture, right? Why not make her look more obviously Chinese? Now, I say this. Now, look, maybe I've got it wrong. It's okay. We are allowed to dissent here. That's what my thing is on my YouTube channel. Are you serious? Please stop it. So I just say, of all things that people wanted to take away was they're like, wait a minute, not all Asians look this way. Of course, not all Asians look a certain type of way. And I guess to me is if you want to highlight certain things, if they were going to highlight something in Black culture, when I say Black culture, I'm going to say specifically Black American culture. I would want the child to look like your what a cross section of the Black child looks like. Does that mean all Black children look like that? No, but you want this to look obviously like a Black child. You want it to be like, oh, you want it to be obvious. Do you have to focus solely on that? No, but it was just one point out of like 4 or 5 points I made yesterday, and that's what people are focusing on. Like, Asians have button noses. Okay, She still didn't look like she was Chinese to me. It could have just been me. And like I said, it's not like I haven't had exposure. Okay. I had to go study in China. I've traveled to Japan with my husband. We had a good time, by the way. Stop. My kids are trying to die this morning. Just put it right there. I've traveled to Japan. I've traveled to Thailand. I really enjoyed Thailand. Thailand and Japan were awesome. And I traveled to Singapore. I didn't spend much time in Singapore. When I was in China, I was like 18, 19 years old. And it was a little bit like culture shock. I was in Tiananmen Square. It was like 500 degrees outside. I was wearing some hot jeans. I almost passed out. I was almost lost in the subway system because I couldn't get off because people were packed on. I was like, oh my goodness. I had a chance to see the terracotta soldiers or whatever. Was it like the eighth wonder of the world or something like that? It was a really, really eye-opening, very informative time for me. And there's some other takeaways. I watched the Chinese do like a citizen arrest in the middle of like there was like a zoo or something. Oh gosh, I think I was in like the Yunnan province or someplace like that. And he did like a citizen's arrest. They whooped this guy's butt. I don't know if he stole candy. I don't know what happened, but it was a great experience. Ultimately, what I'm saying is when I see comments like that, I almost didn't even feel the need to come out and say, well, yes, actually, I have had exposure. But I wanted to share that so that when I say, in these eyes that I've seen when I've traveled around the world, and oh, by the way, yes, I've been to Canada too. I plan on Canada. Um, yes, I am a well-traveled person. I haven't had a chance to get to the African continent yet. That's on my bucket list. Anyway, the point I'm making is, in my opinion, hold on, let me put my banner up because everything's alleged and true or untrue. I don't know. In my opinion, this little girl right here, my first glance, she didn't look Asian. I don't know Asians with bright red hair. I don't know. I know when I see Asians maybe dye their hair like all the rest of us women out here when we want to change our hair color. But that, no. Hey, calling a thing a thing. We know there is a phenotype associated with Asians, just like there's a phenotype associated with many Black people. And I'm going to say this and then I got to run. For example, we know that the Black person who's living in Somalia or Ethiopia looks completely different than the person who lives in Nigeria or in the United States. Are we all Black? Different types of Black people? Yes. Do we look differently? Yes. But we know with Black people, you're typically going to see darker skin, or depending on where you are, yes, the phenotype changes, but you can tell when someone is Black, right? Or like even like with a lot of the Ethiopians and Somalis, like they have a look. There's a phenotype associated with that. When you see a lot of the Nigerians, there's a phenotype that's kind of associated with the Nigerians, right? Are there ones who may not fit that? Yes. And what I'm saying to you is most of us know when we see someone, there's an idea of what we think of when we see someone who is Asian or white or whatever. And not all stereotypes are bad. And so me saying, "Hey, at least make her look Chinese," like to me, the chick didn't look Chinese. I'm just calling it thing a thing. It's okay. It's okay. It's not necessarily bad. But people really want to like take this and turn this into like, oh my goodness, can we not be so stereotypical? I'm like, there are phenotypes associated with many of the Asians. Okay. And yes, I have broadened my horizons. All right. So I think people, when you say things like that, I'm trying to figure out why was that a very visceral reaction? Why is it so bad to look Asian? There's nothing wrong with looking Asian. It is what it is. Like I said, typically when you see someone who's Asian, they have black hair. So if you slap on some blonde hair on this little girl, I'm allowed to say that doesn't even look Asian. She doesn't look Asian to me. They slapped red hair on the chick. Doesn't look Asian to me. All right, so that's it. I just wanted to put that out there because yeah, that's it. I thought this was a great conversation to have because people can get in their feelings. But all right. I love the comments. I really do. The comments were great. I hope you guys continue to keep posting them because I just thought they were great. And I think if anybody takes the time to go read them, you'll learn something and get some perspective. And I don't necessarily disagree with many of the comments. Let me just say this, and then I'm going to go. Whenever I see the comments, like I don't know how quickly I'll be able to get to comments today if people make any. Whenever I see comments, and sometimes I either just don't have time to really go in depth, or I may disagree. I made like a small portion of what you've written. So instead of going to all of it, I'll just give you the thumbs up to let you know, like, hey, I saw your comment. I may or may not agree. So the thumbs up does not mean I agree with everything. It doesn't mean I loved it. It doesn't mean I hated it. It just means, hey, I see you. I recognize your comment. I may or may not like parts of it or none of it or all of it. Okay. It's just kind of like, hey, I see you. And we're all good. We're all good. All right. I gotta go.